There are roughly 119,740,000 kilometers between the planets Venus and Mars.
Somewhere in the middle lies Earth.
That's one small step for man,
I'm the boss.
That's a gaslighter.
Love bombing.
Narcissist. Homemaker.
Deal breaker.
one giant leap for mankind.
If he wanted to, he would.
5 signs of avoidant attachment.
You wouldn't consider men and women
Society is broken.
Houston, we've had a problem.
Join us in the space between Venus and Mars.
Hello, hello. Welcome to the space between Venus and Mars. I'm Chris.
I'm Jessie.
And today we're going to be talking about something that's been in the air, been in the sky recently.
Or one could say, been in the stars.
Yes. Of course, we're talking about astrology. We wouldn't be one of these podcasts if it weren't, having to get into that at some point, right? Or another. So I guess to set this up a little bit, I recently took a trip, and on the way to the airport, my Uber driver started talking about astrology, and that consumed the entire 30-minute drive to the airport.
How was it? Just like you got in the car and she said, "Hey, when's your birthday and what time were you born?"
No, we didn't get into any. It was basically.
Wait, this is important. Was
Yeah.
it a man or a woman?
It was a woman.
Okay.
Yeah. It came about because we were talking about the city, and she was just curious how I felt about living in LA. And I was telling her that I felt like, it's fine, and that, things are going okay. And she then started telling me about how she had to get out of there. And then she started to tell me why she had to get out of there.
Wait, get out of there?
Sorry, get out of LA.
She had to get out of LA?
Yes. Which was
Okay.
because her chart, astrological chart, was telling her that it was no good.
Oh.
Was that she was not, only chaos would find her in LA. And she had to move to someplace in order to come into her full own self. And so I've heard a little bit about this stuff over the years, but there's like all of these subsects of astrology.
Yeah.
And you have like cartography related astrology, where you will find the most abundance on like your birthday or like all of these big major events. And it changes throughout your life, of course.
Yeah. So, on fact, our guest a couple weeks ago, Paul and his wife, B,
Yes.
they do that every year. They go see someone and they take a trip every year around their birthday, and where will they have the most abundance? They'll get a few coordinates and they'll go. They'll do it every year.
Every year.
Without fail, yeah. They find a way, somehow, some way they go. Whether it's Turkey, whether it's Anchorage, Alaska, they will be there. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I mean, that kind of gets into, just in general, like this woman I was talking to, she really hands herself over to the stars in a very big way.
Mm-hmm.
It determines, if she has a surgery, she'll consult an astrologer who would tell her, no, you can't do it on this day. This, it's not good. Like,
Yeah.
there's mischief for, Mercury will always fuck you up or whatever, those things.
Yeah.
And then she was talking about synastry. I think I'm pronouncing
I
that
think
right.
that's correct. Synastry.
Which is compatibility as read through star charts.
Oh, okay.
And she was talking about how they've added that now to Tinder, which was added in March of this year.
I have seen the marketing campaign for that.
Mm-hmm. And that has really heavily affected the way that she matches with people, because now she will write people off basically before they've even done the first date.
Right.
Just based on the sign. And that's
How
become a
long
new
was
filter.
this Uber ride?
30 to 40 minutes. 30 to 40 minutes.
Okay. So you guys got into it a little bit.
we got pretty into it.
Okay. Well, that was so kind of her to open up.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Kind of.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
no, it
appreciated
was.
it. Yeah, I
Yeah,
appreciated it. Yeah. I'm not always in favor of the
Right.
of the Uber discussion. This one particularly, I guess, related to the podcast. I wasn't going to telegraph,
Right.
Maybe we should have her on as guest.
Maybe if you're out there, we'd love to, actually. That would be
Yes.
great.
What is your experience with astrology?
So, I think it's super duper fun.
Sure.
And I I mean, like, I will say, like, should we say our big three? Because it's fun.
I would definitely need to pull that up because that's
Oh, okay. You
literally
don't know it.
I don't know.
That's okay. I'll say mine. I am a Gemini sun, Leo rising, and Aries moon.
Okay.
I mean, like, I know that. I definitely didn't really care for it too much until I did move here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it just wasn't something that I cared about. It was just like I knew that I was a Gemini.
I mean, yeah, that's a very LA thing, right?
No, it's
To
very
dive
well.
into
We'll get
astrology.
into that. in a
Oh,
minute.
okay.
But yeah, I strongly always identified as a Gemini. Just, you know, and also there's all this. I guess when you're a Gemini, fellow Geminis out there, we get a terrible, like Donald Trump's a Gemini, Kanye West is a Gemini, but also Tupac. A lot of rappers are
Okay.
Geminis.
Stirring the
Um,
pot.
yeah, like, you know, Two-Face, whatever, like, oh, that girl's a Gemini, run away, or whatever. Like, so I guess I grew up with that kind of being in my sphere of understanding about things. It was always just like a fun thing for me.
Yeah.
But it did have quite a boom in 2020 a little bit.
Sure.
And then I remember listening to an episode of a podcast and they were talking about it, and they were just talking about how it helped give people a lot of purpose and help
Mhm.
people understand themselves. And yeah, so we're definitely going to talk about that today and just get into it and see. There's actually a lot to dive into as I was doing
Yeah.
some research. So
What are the big three? It's sun, moon, and what's the third one?
rising. I will preface this by saying, like, I am no expert by any means. Like, my best friend in the whole wide world, she's very good at this. I am probably less than novice at it. But yeah, your sun is just like the general sign, like general you. And then your moon is how you, like, your inner world, like what
Mhm.
rules your inner world.
Right.
And then your rising is like people's first impression of you.
Interest. I am a sun in Cancer, moon in Taurus, and I am ascendant in Aquarius.
So, some fun factoids that I learned while kind of just diving into this a little bit. And by the
Mhm.
way, I feel like there are so many follow-up episodes we can have about this because even just, you know, doing research on it, there was just so much stuff that I was like, oh my gosh, like we can
Right.
really have, this can be a multi-part, but
Mhm.
this episode will just kind of scratch the surface of stuff. So for all you listeners out there who are really big into astrology, we are not going to do you any justice. We're just going to scratch the surface. So we apologize in advance. But Pew Research Center, I believe last year, did kind of a study on this. And 30% of Americans consult astrology, tarot cards, or fortune tellers. Most say they engage in these practices for fun rather than for insights or guidance on life decisions. But still, 30%.
I mean, and you say that, but you're also saying that to specifically someone who's asking you, who's like an expert.
What do you mean?
I think it's the self-selecting thing again of like they're saying they're doing it for fun, but they're saying they're doing it for fun because they're talking to someone about it. You don't pay money to someone and ask them for your fortune just for fun.
Right. But people like buy tarot cards and, like, you know what I mean? People do it as a hobby and stuff.
If you buy into it, like you have to put some stock in it. Like it seems kind of silly, the idea of like that they're just doing it only for
People are
fun.
doing it for fun.
Okay.
People are doing it for fun. Okay, so it says that the biggest differences are in age and gender.
Okay.
Not surprising. Young people are doing this more, like consulting in astrology and horoscopes.
Mm-hmm.
43% of women ages 18 to 49 compared to 27% of women ages 50 and older versus like 16% of men. So yeah, the men kind of were in the 16 to 20% range regardless of whether you're young or old. Here's where it gets really like this is the gag. Americans who identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender are especially likely to consult astrology or horoscope and tarot cards. About half of LGBTQ plus Americans, 54%,
Mhm.
consult astrology or horoscopes at least yearly. Roughly twice the share among US overall adults, 28%. Oh, and LGBTQ plus women are more likely than LGBTQ plus men to consult astrology. It's 63% versus 43%. So 63% of femme-leaning folks
Mhm.
in the queer community are consulting.
Yeah.
Which,
Definitely doesn't surprise me female.
tracks.
Yeah. Definitely doesn't surprise me female over male
Yeah.
in general.
Yeah.
I'm sure a big part of that is just more larger the sense of like realistically probably a lot of them are not either feeling welcomed within churches or other belief
Yes.
systems
Yeah.
that they're
That's-
turning to this other
Yeah.
system of belief.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. And that's what I was thinking too. I was like, oh, this totally tracks because it's like you're trying to find meaning and purpose, and the other sort of mainstream ways of doing that have left you to feel very ostracized and
Mhm.
othered. So it makes sense that you would go towards another belief system that for the most part, like people really tend to have faith in. And you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
a lot of times I think that's what's
And it's decentralized. There's like not
yeah.
really
Oh,
like
yeah, that's a good point. It's
there's not really like this structure and systems in place and
yeah.
vicars, priests, people that would like I
Right.
don't know, control the narrative of what it is.
That's actually a really good point.
Yeah.
There's no like people involved to tell you. I mean, I guess it depends on, which I will get into this in a little bit, but yeah, you're right. There's not, it's decentralized. There aren't like more people that can make the rules or whatever. It's like, well, these are kind of the instruments and this is the way or whatever.
Yeah. And I'm sure
Um,
there's obviously I'm sure infighting as far as like within different types of ways of reading and stuff like that.
Funny you say that because so I read this article also by Refinery 29
Hmm.
that was written in 2020. And it was actually really fascinating because the whole article was about how traditional astrology is very gendered,
Mm-hmm.
which I was like, oh, I didn't even think to think that. But apparently, when we think of different signs, they're either considered more feminine or more masculine or like elements. So, like, for example, something like fire is going to be more masculine. Gemini's an air sign, but like Aries is a fire sign. So that's like more masculine versus like a water sign like Cancer is considered more feminine.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like there are all these attributes that are either feminine or masculine when associated with the different signs. And this article, again, was written in 2020, which when there was kind of a boom,
Mm-hmm.
I think we went from somewhere to like 25% of people kind of putting their faith in this to then at the time it was 30% when Pew Research Center did a poll. And that's also when they started to see the numbers of like, okay, LGBTQ plus community starting to really, that was a growing number, a growing share of people who were kind of getting into astrology and horoscopes. And so it was like, okay, you had these folks who, you know, didn't necessarily identify strongly with a binary of gender. So it was like, okay, then to be like, oh, like this is a Cancer, whatever is more feminine and this is more, but I'm this and this. And so people were having kind of trying to figure out how to redefine that too, because they were like, oh, the history apparently of astrology is also written by cis white men.
Sure.
And so it's like the
Mhm.
patriarchy. I'm sorry, folks, but we just can't escape it.
Who's under that mask?
Who's under that mask?
Yeah,
They would have
every
gotten away with it if it wasn't for you. What is it? Meddling kids.
Yes.
So yeah, like essentially there was this big push at the time to kind of figure out a new language that didn't feel so, okay, this is masculine, this is feminine, more like different way of saying that. But I mean, it's worth noting too that, I mean, we talk about it on this show too. Like, I mean, everybody, that's kind of the evil of the patriarchy, that it forces us to think about men and women in these paradigms of like, well, women have to be super feminine and men have to be super masculine. Like everyone's a little bit of both, you
Or
know?
of it just, again, being a binary thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I think about that all the time with just like, so many like languages and stuff of like even
Right.
like nouns being gendered and stuff like
Right.
that. And,
Yeah.
it definitely affects the way you think about everything
Yeah.
when it starts in such a macro place like that.
Right, right. Yeah, I thought that was really interesting too. And I was like, this is so crazy and so kind of unfortunate that here are all these people who have felt so ostracized about from other belief systems, and they go to another belief system that they feel they can trust, and then it's like, then you look a little deeper into that, and that's also really gendered, and I don't know. But it seemed to become a safe haven for many folks who do feel othered by society. So
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah. Ultimately, I think the power of astrology for a lot of people, and, this is only my take. Obviously, I'm sure there's people that would feel like it's a very wrong way to think about it. But what I get out of it and what I've noticed a lot of people do get out of it is the sort of Rorschach-ness of the way you can look at it. And I think in that way, you can look at your chart and you will, probably not like some stuff in it, and you probably will like other parts of it. But I think the stuff that you're kind of like magnetized to or drawn to is the stuff that ultimately is significant to you. And like, you can kind of then give or take and leave the parts that don't feel maybe as in line with you. But it kind of helps reinforce a lot of like stuff that maybe identity wise is difficult for people to work out about themselves.
I have been doing some shadow work recently. It has been very enlightening and challenging. For those that don't know, shadow work is kind of a practice. You do it in therapy, started by like Carl Jung a little bit, sort of like that school of thought. But essentially, like you figure out what triggers you, and then you go deeper and figure out where did that come from, whether that's like something that happened in your childhood or something that happened from a traumatic event. And you kind of like start from what you're feeling, what triggers you, and then you kind of work backwards. It's can be a very intense process doing it on your own. So if people have like more baggage and stuff, highly recommend doing that with a therapist. But yeah, I think that there's so many things that I'm understanding about myself, and when we talk about like doing the work of reflection, essentially, kind of shadow work is one way you can kind of do that. But I think that's kind of the beauty and the curse of astrology. I feel like your chart will say things that, maybe you're not ready to hear, or maybe you are ready to hear, or whatever. Like, I think it's sometimes I do wonder if it's like a shortcut to kind of understanding yourself.
Sure.
Maybe shortcut is a bad word.
Well, I think the shortcut parts of it would be in maybe the self-improvement parts. Cause I don't want to generalize because I don't really have that much experience of this.
Yeah.
But I do know some people, or I've heard of instances of some people where they're like, oh, well, it's, she's messy because, XYZ. This sign is the reason she's always late. This is actually, and it's like, these are all actionable parts of yourself that you could be working on. So I think that's more, I think maybe the frustration or the idea of it being a shortcut to understanding yourself without maybe leaning into the work part.
I will say this though. One thing that has been interesting for me about doing the shadow work is like all of it is about kind of coming back to like this inner child part of you. And I do think that is kind of the fun of astrology too, because I do, if we are to believe in all of it, like is the chart our most inner child self? You know what I mean? Like, I
Right.
don't know. Like, I think that that's a beautiful thing to think about.
Yes. As it relates to the larger world, it's very interesting. I mean, like we said at this top of the show, Tinder recently added this
Yeah.
into an update that they did in March of this year, which I think just kind of goes to show how it's not something that's just like a passing trend. It feels like it's something that's very here to stay culturally at the
Mhm.
moment.
Mhm.
There's a recent study that Tinder also did this study that 30% of young daters globally admit to checking a match's star sign before going on a date. And 40% of singles share that astrology love predictions have shaped their choices in dating in 2025.
I just want to say it was a genius business idea for Tinder to add that. Like, wow, way to really
Mm-hmm.
beef up your business model because
I,
it's true. I mean, listen, I'm not going to say I haven't looked at, I mean, I definitely haven't looked at a certain someone's chart, but I know their sign.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I mean, it's all part of, again, and I think especially for something like Tinder, where it's like, for some people describe it, as like a cesspool, just like it's just a wild west. It's just a free for all of like
Yeah.
parsing through anything on that app because it's like so many people with different intentions and
Yeah.
ideas and overlapping interests and spheres. It
Yeah.
and cules. There's just so many things that can,
Yeah.
there's so many variables in that pool of dating.
I will say I do have friends though that kind of like that better than Hinge more because
Mhm.
then they're just able to it's like simpler.
Sure.
But
But I do
I do
think
get
that,
what you're saying.
yeah, but I do think that that's why the astrology idea was such a brilliant
Oh,
thing
it's
to put on
brilliant.
top
It's
because
brilliant.
it creates this top down other layer to sort of put on top of that pool
Yeah.
that otherwise would feel very random and overwhelming for people.
Yeah. Definitely.
And I think that just in general, that's kind of become, again, as going back to our thing of like belief systems and stuff, I think that's really helped a lot of people make sense of what you would describe as
Yeah.
modern dating, which is kind of arbitrary. And
It also what I'm about to say is just so unfun. But that's our show sometimes. Well,
let's dive in to this space.
well, okay. Here's the space. The space is, or the ugly space, I guess, is like, I think that it allows people to separate themselves from a little bit of agency too, because you
Mhm.
don't have to do the nasty work of figuring out that you're incompatible with someone if if it's just like, oh, well, nope, says I'm incompatible, which I know that that's not necessarily how it goes.
Mhm.
But I think it's just like before you even do the messy work, which by the way, on this show, we've said it before, we'll say it again. We do feel that it is beautiful, messy work. We're big believers in that. Like
Yeah.
just try something on. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but you gave it a go. I think that it does kind of circumvent you from like the beautiful, messy work of figuring yourself out more. If you like, maybe you try to be with someone you think it says that you're incompatible with,
Mhm.
And like, I feel like so much of this too is like gut check, like, you'll know, I think for me too, it's like, I'll say this funny story. Like, so a couple years ago, I like went on like a ton of speed dating events.
Mhm.
And I would really, really click with like other Gemini men. But it
Mhm.
would like, oof, it was not. It would like be so high intensity and like there was really no room for me. And then it would just like, it's like, phew, 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 like it, like
Mhm.
fast, like flash in the pan. And then it didn't work out. And then I could just be like, well, they were Gemini anyway,
Sure.
So it's like, but I think it's, I had the gut feeling that it wasn't going to work out and it didn't work out for many other reasons. But yeah, so I just think I do wonder though if it's like too much of a crutch? And does it keep people from more connection, or does it?
Hmm.
What do you think? What's your vibe on that? I don't know.
Depending on how stringent your filters are, it is holding people back
Yeah,
for
it
sure.
could.
It could.
Yeah.
If you are getting so deep into the synastry of it that you're
Yeah.
like literally like, well, like it just like these houses say that we're not in conjunction, so that's the end of it and
Yeah.
it's done and dusted. Like even if it feels fun for like the first month, I know it will never last. So I just have to
Yeah.
cut it off at the head.
And I guess I will say, like, even going back to our first episode of like the scripts, right? Like, is this another script? I don't think so. I think that this is obviously birth charts are very complicated. I'm very aware of that. So, I mean, maybe I take that back, but I just thought it was worth like, oh, is it? I think it's worth examining. Like,
I don't think it's that much crazier than like you coming in and being like, oh, well, you're anxiously attached and I'm avoidantly attached. So like these are all the reasons why this won't work out. And you just saying it right then and there of like based on this personality trait or aspect. I think like that's just as defeatist and kind of fatalist about like what a connection can be.
Yeah.
I think our current predicament in society is people who have been only sold, I mean, to go back to our last episode, only been sold an easy idea of what love is.
Right.
And the conflict or messy work of it is immediately a reason to shut it down.
Yeah. Been sold an easy version but then also making it so hard.
Sure. I mean, I'm sure there's aspects of it also though that do feel, comforting in almost the opposite way of like you are just the makeup of these stars and how they align and like it's not that special. It's just happenstance. It is almost a letting go of your own ego sometimes in that sense.
We would be silly not to mention the almost billion people country or honestly not just India but like other countries religions do what's called kundali matching. It's an ancient Vedic astrological practice used to assess the compatibility of two individuals before marriage. So basically, this is how a lot of marriages are arranged in parts of the world. And if there are 18 points in the chart that match, like if there's 18 or more, then the marriage can be successful. If it's less than that, the marriage is not going to be successful. So a lot of arranged marriages are used with this practice. And I mean, this is a lot of people on the planet, So they got to be onto something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Are these marriages successful or not? I'm sorry, I did not go into, and that's where like I think that's where it's like we're really just scratching the surface of this topic, because it would be cool if we like bring somebody on and they could tell us the ins and outs of like what exactly are the points that need to match and what exactly are the things or whatever, like how can you determine a successful marriage versus not.
No, it is a big deal, but even then they talk about you can overcome the poor Kundali through other aspects of the relationship, such as meritorious deeds or spiritual activities, done in tandem within the relationship. But, I mean, like, I guess it's just kind of another way of saying the stuff that we've been saying of like, there's an intentionality still that overcomes the things that may be written in the stars.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I know it's not that certain signs aren't compatible or whatever. I know certain signs are more compatible than others, but I think it's just of how it helps people find a roadmap of how to relate to someone a little bit better. And I think that can be a pretty powerful tool.
Yeah. Well, and I think that this is another interesting part of that relationship of people being obsessive about this is, again, I guess I was starting to get into this before, but as far as like giving you a sense of control over things. Like
Mm.
the number of times the headline of something is like, I wish I hadn't even wasted my time on him, and like
Oh,
all of this
yeah.
energy that was taken away from me. And I think that again, this is an easy answer to a hard question, which is, you know, do I need to date all these people in order to find someone? And it's like, ooh, it's up to the person. It's up to, um,
Yeah. I think it's worth trying to also examine and assess how much the capitalist agenda does affect our psyche when we
Mhm.
are making kind of romantic decisions about who to marry and who to be with. And it's like, do we need to always be upgrading? Are people things that need to be upgraded? I would
Mm,
hope that we aren't thinking of people in that way, but it's hard not to when our whole world is structured around us being like economic units, you
sure.
know?
Yeah.
And maybe astrology is for those folks that really believe in it. Maybe this is the antidote. In some cases it's like, oh no,
Mhm.
maybe this is the way of fighting against the
'Cause
capitalist. I don't know.
you're looking at something that's outside, that's more ancient than any of those structures in some
Right.
ways.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I think if it can be used as a tool towards us connecting more and seeing ourselves more and seeing other people more, love it.
Mhm.
But I don't love when it's like we don't give people a chance
Sure. Yeah. And I think that
because they're
that's
a Leo. I get it.
so yeah, I guess to wrap things up here, like this is definitely a primer episode. I think there's more to explore here. I guess this was mostly coming out of
Your interaction with your Uber driver.
my interaction with my Uber driver.
Yeah.
And just anxieties around that. And like if it's coming out of anything, it's coming out of the anxieties of just like there being certainty
Yeah.
about things, I guess.
Oh
I think
yeah.
that that's something I've always struggled with
Mm.
in relationships, is the idea of,
When you know.
yes, the whole fated thing is a really romantic in both the modern sense of romantic, but also in the old like gothic, like 16th, 17th century idea of romantic, which is
Yeah.
like
Twin flame.
almost, well, yeah, I'm thinking like, like of like romantic, like Mary Shelley, of like almost like macabre, and like
Mm.
you're bound to this person, and it's like, yes, that's part of your karmic role in life, and that
Yeah.
this being all something outside of your control,
Yeah.
I think is sometimes, an overwhelming or scary thought to me.
Why do you think that is?
I think because not having a sense of control over the stories we do. I mean, I definitely feel that sense of like reenactment. I mean, of like previous generations or
Absolutely.
stuff like that, to go into your shadow work and everything like
Yeah.
that. I mean,
It's a lot
that
of
was
it.
I was in a relationship with another child of divorce, and I think a lot of that was coming
Yeah.
from a place of like, oh, we're definitely not going to do the same thing that our parents did, and then it's like you run straight back into
Yes.
the loop, and like that stuff just can shake your sense of like
Mhm.
what's the right way to go, what's the wrong way to go. If this episode was coming from anywhere, it was coming from this place of like someone gave me in the car an easy answer.
Mm.
I think ultimately the idea of like choosing a beautiful mess over like, I don't know,
Perfectly
a
aligned.
manicured,
Yeah.
perfectly aligned thing is preferable to my psyche. But
Yeah. Yeah. I think so too. I want people to feel, first and foremost, like they can see themselves clearly, and then so they can see other people more clearly. That's all we want, you know?
Yeah.
And if this can help you see yourself more clearly so that you can see others more clearly and love others more clearly and more beautifully, then yes. Thank you so much for listening to The Space Between Venus and Mars. We're hoping to maybe change some things up soon a little bit. I don't know, maybe not.
Sure.
The line hopefully is going to be open soon. We want to hear what you guys are thinking about our show.
Tell us how wrong we are about astrology.
Please tell us how wrong we are about everything,
Yeah.
and or if something really touched you, or if you have a really interesting thoughts about things or questions, or we want to engage with you. We want to talk with you. We want to know what you guys are thinking. So yeah, the line will be open soon. We'll have hopefully more information about that in our description.
Yeah.
And or check out our socials. And yeah, until next time, y'all. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. Our show is made by us, Jesse Rojas and Chris Stold. Our producer is the lovely Marian Rojas. Our composer and mixer extraordinaire is Rosalind Wong, and all of our art is carefully handcrafted by Jacob Bankoff. Our social team is run by Jared Rudell and Lillian Matsakudis. If you haven't already, make sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok. You can find us there under @Venus and Mars Pod. Make sure to rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.